So how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can I see your ring?
Yes. Hang on, let me shine her. Let me shine her up real quick. Okay.
Oh my
There
God.
she is.
Mary.
I
That is
know.
unbelievable.
Thank
That is
you.
unbelievable. It's
It's
so beautiful.
Thank you. I am obsessed with it. I stare at it all the time. It's completely
Yeah,
unhealthy.
as you should.
I mean, I- it's just it's more than anything I ever imagined. It's also too big. So I have
Yeah.
my little thing on it
Yeah.
until because I don't want to take it in to get resized. I'm like,
Mm.
am I supposed to be without this for 4 to 6 weeks? That is cruel and unusual. Like I don't think so. So Aaron's like, go get it resized. And I'm like,
Yeah. I had to get mine resized twice because it just like kept not fitting my finger. I don't think they did it right the first time,
oh.
but doesn't isn't it just like when you're doing stuff, you're like, oh,
I'm
look at
like,
my
oh,
hand.
this? What? I'm typing, I'm like,
What?
ah.
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's so surreal and it's so exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can't believe it. I've been
I
doing wedding things all the time.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you're in the thick of it.
I'm in the thick of it. I was talking to a planner today. Um, she's one that was recommended by the venue, and I had never heard her name. I'd not heard of her business. She's in Waynesville.
Mm,
And she seems really nice, and she like has worked with all of like the people that we're working, like all the vendors that we're working with. So it feels
yeah.
like she's a good choice. And I'm also talking to someone else who I found on Google, and like she's kind of the opposite. Like she looks like her website is gorgeous, and like she looks young and trendy, and like I
Yeah.
don't know if she's ever worked with anybody in Waynesville. I don't know if she works in Asheville. I don't exactly know. We have a call with her next week. But yeah, I talked to this gal today, and like she seems great. So I'm going to go to Waynesville next week and meet with her in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, that's so
I
fun.
know, because we don't really need a planner. We just need like a
Yeah,
coordinator. Like a 90-day
right.
coordinator is all we need.
Yeah. Honestly, just having someone like on the day. Like
Mm-hmm. Yep.
our venue kind of like assigned a lady to be there day of, and I only met her literally one time before that, but she
Mm-hmm.
was just there to kind of like make sure things stayed on time,
Yep.
basically. But that was
Yeah.
really it.
That's my best friend Kurt at Springdale. He and I are best friends now.
Yeah.
He's like, I will be there, like I'll be buzzing around, like helping do everything. I'm like, okay, I trust you. I trust you with my life, Kurt. You sound
Yeah.
like a good guy. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we're just doing all the things and putting deposits down, and
Yeah.
I've got a violinist,
Oh, lovely.
you know, and
I
she
love
has
a
a cellist friend.
ugh, I love a good string situation.
I know. It's so romantic.
Yeah. You know, we had a violinist and a cellist play for like our ceremony, and I never even heard them. I mean, they played as we walked down the aisle, but I was so in the zone that I don't even recall.
I couldn't. I had no. Had no recollection of that.
I know. And they played as like people came in and got seated, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently it was lovely, but I don't know her. I never heard a thing.
No, I couldn't pick her out of a lineup.
No. I'm like, people told me that it was lovely, and I was like, oh, good. Yeah, can't
Thumbs
recall.
up. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
But yeah,
We
I
were
do
too busy
love.
ripping shots at the bar.
No, we
That
were.
was so fun. That was so much fun. That's such a core memory.
Like, it's so hard to explain, and obviously you will get to experience, but like, I was not nervous whatsoever to marry
Mm-hmm.
Mike, like,
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to marry that man from like the day I met him. But I was so nervous to like be the center of attention all
Yep.
evening. There's something just, like, very, like, voyeur expeditionist about the whole thing of,
I
like, you're on
imagine.
you're on
Yes.
display, and you have to be, like, on and personable and
Mhm.
greeting all the people, which, of course, like, you're amazing at. I flounder in those situations, and I never know what to say to people, but, I mean, it all was fine, it all was
Oh,
great,
it was such a great day.
but it's a little weird when you're like, "Oh god, I'm about to go out there in front of all these people that have known me or known my husband," and
I know. I know, because I mean, in a close circle and group of friends, I don't have an issue being the center of attention.
Yeah,
Now, in the way that you're describing, I do get clammed up. Like, I will
yeah,
be sweaty, not to marry Aaron, but to go out in front of the people.
right.
And he is also going to be very nervous to go out in front of the people. And I feel like our energies
Mm.
are going to be really chaotic on the inside.
Right.
So that's something I've thought about a little bit. And, I've been reading all these blogs and
Mm.
seeing all these videos of people and like what they do. And I remember that you and Mike had breakfast the morning of your
Mm.
wedding,
Yeah,
which I love.
yeah,
And I think we'll take it a step further. I think we're just going to stay together
yeah.
the night before because we stayed. I mean, I think it's going to make us most at ease,
Mhm.
have breakfast, maybe even start to like get ready together.
Yeah,
And then
I
there'll
love
come a
that.
time when, he'll go off and I'll stay in
Mhm.
my place and have Abby and y'all come over and just
Yeah,
hang out for a little while just to hang because there's not going to be much going on.
yeah,
So, but I'm like, and we are going to do a first look because,
yeah.
the timing. You got
Right.
married in November. You know the daylight savings timing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we're under those same restrictions. But we're also going to do vows either morning of or during the first look
Yeah, I
so
love
that we
that.
can just like do
Yeah.
our thing together and then we'll just get up and do the pretty standard
Mhm.
issue in front of
Yeah.
everybody.
Doing private vows is so beautiful. I love when couples do
Yeah.
that.
Abby and Matt did and
Mm.
the photos, I mean Matthew is weeping, sobbing, like like sobbing and
That's so
Abby was so
sweet.
funny after she was like, I almost got the ick. And I was like, shut up. Are you kidding me? She's
No,
like, yeah,
that's
I'm kidding.
so sweet. Oh
Like it's
my
adorable.
gosh.
It's darling. It's wonderful. And they were able to capture it from a distance. Like their photographer like gave them space. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
it's
I love
really
that.
nice. So all of these things I've already tried to think about,
Yeah.
but I really need to get on, you know, letting people know,
Mm.
sending out save
Yeah.
the dates, buying stamps,
Sure, sure.
doing all of those things.
Yeah. Oh,
Now,
it's
how are
so fun
you?
though.
What's been going on with you?
Oh god, I don't even know. I feel like my life right now is just like I spend all day with the baby
Mhm.
while Mike works, and I occasionally check in because, like, I'm doing a lot of development work right now for other designers,
Yep.
so I check in with them during the day just to make sure, like, everything's fine while they're working.
Hmm.
And then in the evening, Mike takes over and I work in the evening, and so we just kind of flip-flop like that.
Oh,
And so, yeah, I mean, this is like this whole evening setup, I mean, this is like, yeah, this is what I do most evenings is just
that's
this is when I log
amazing.
on. Yeah, so it works. It still is it's challenging in that, like, I'm still kind of trying to wrap my brain around the fact that it's okay that I'm awake for so many hours where I'm not, like, clocked into work, or
Uh-huh.
not, like,
Absolutely.
not even mentally at work.
Yep.
I have to be, like, okay with the fact that I'm spending hours, like, playing with a child and not and
But
not
that's
like
so important, and it's
I
a
know.
job in and of itself. Like, I
Oh,
don't
it
have to tell
is.
you that, and it's important and it's fun, I hope, I think,
Oh,
I'm
it is.
sure.
And, like, I keep reminding myself, like, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I
Mhm.
so looked forward to. I think it's just hard when you've spent so many years building a career to turn that off, to
Yeah.
just, like to be like, "What have I done today? Nothing." But yes, I did. I played with my son. Like,
Right.
I did do stuff, and, like, I made sure that his diapers were changed and that he was well fed and that he had lots of cuddles and attention, and all of those
Exactly.
things, like, honestly are more important than the things that I would get done at work.
Sure. Absolutely.
Um, but it's just such a hard, like, switch to
Mhm.
make in my brain of, like, it's okay that I'm not checking things off a to-do list,
Yep.
which sounds really dumb, but
Well,
it's
no, because it's like you have to give yourself permission to be productive in a different way, like in a
Yeah,
way that doesn't necessarily contribute to your career job,
yeah,
but it is contributing to your life and to, his life in a positive way and, in an
totally.
important way. But yeah, you just got to give yourself permission to like,
Mm,
you know, just find different ways of being productive and knowing that that
right,
means different things on different days.
totally, like, yeah, just redefining what productivity means, and right
Yeah.
now it means hanging out with a baby all day,
Oh,
and then and then coding at night.
I love it.
But
I love it. I mean, you are like eh, living a dream. I mean, that is
yeah,
truly the coolest thing. Like, you get to be mom all day and then
yeah.
do your badass coding. Are you freaking kidding me?
Well, I told Mike, I was like, if I really sit back and think about this, like how many moms would love to be in my position where like I'm still getting to work and make money, but I get to sleep in with my baby. I get to spend all day with him and see all of
Yes.
his milestones. I'm not missing anything. Um, but I'm still getting to work at least as much as I want to.
Yes.
And that's a huge win. I mean, I feel very, very fortunate that I'm in the type of career that I'm in and can still do my work and keep it up.
Yes.
But yeah, be with my kid all day and literally not miss any of it. Like I have to call Mike and be like, "Come in here." He's doing, whatever.
He's doing something
Like
amazing.
he started saying dog, talking to Toffee, our dog, but it sounds like duck. So he's like, "Duck, duck."
Oh my
But
god,
what's
that's
even
so
cuter
sweet.
What's even cuter is he, like, says it an octave higher than he says other things, and Mike was like, "I wonder if he picks up on the fact that we're always like, 'Tuffy,' and we talk really high?"
Yes.
And so
Oh,
he's like, "Duck," he's, like, really high pitched.
he's
It's
a
so
brilliant
cute.
boy and he knows exactly how to talk to Toffee.
It's so cute,
That
and
makes
he
me want to
loves
cry.
toffee. Oh my god, he loves toffee.
I can't imagine what that feeling is of
Mm,
having your child and your dog be
yeah,
best. I mean, I
yeah.
cannot imagine anything better than that.
Yeah, I think, like, Toffee is still slightly jealous, but Toffee is definitely warming up because, we're full on in the, like, eating real food phase, and so
Oh,
Toffee gets a
yes.
lot of the
He's
of
like,
the
"Oh, this isn't
handles.
so bad.
Yeah, he's like, "Huh, I kinda like this baby now."
Thanks a
But,
lot, kid."
no, it honestly is so, so cool to watch them interact, and just to, like it's really amazing to see Alden get, like, so excited over seeing Toffee. Like, Toffee comes in from a walk, and Alden's, like, whole body is like, "Yes,
He's like,
yes,
"Let me
yes."
at him, let me at him. I need to cuddle him right
So,
now." Oh
yeah,
my
so they're really
god.
cute. But, yeah, that's my life right now. It's just, like, all baby, basically, and I mean, again, we're so fortunate. I can't even lie, it's so nice. Like, Mike is home with us too.
Yep.
So like since he works from home, and yeah, the the 4 of us are just hanging out all day,
That's
which is
so
so nice.
nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice. And like the thing about it too is that like this is not by chance. Like the two of you
Mm,
have worked really hard to cultivate the life that you wanted. Like
yeah.
you have worked so hard to build your business from the ground up, and now that you're getting able to you're able to like fully be with Alden all the time and like
Yeah.
allow this kind of schedule, like it wasn't by chance, it was by your design. And I just think that that is amazing and like commendable and admirable that you thought long term and you did the thing. You made an
Yeah.
amazing business, and now you get to have the best of both worlds. I think it's amazing.
Oh,
I
thanks.
really
Yeah.
do.
No, I mean, we're really, really happy that, like, everything has kind of worked out in this way that we hoped for, you know? Like,
Yes.
again, I keep reminding myself, like, this is what I dreamed about for years,
Yep.
of being in this position where I get to, like, I don't know, play with little block toys, and I don't know, it's
That
just
sounds
all
like
so cute.
it sounds so cute. It sounds so stinking cute. I just love it. I love it. And I feel like
Yeah.
it is a perfect segue into why we wanted to have this podcast and where this podcast was born from.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Like, we over, just a conversation about politics, I'm sure, and like things going on in the
Mhm.
world, just seeing things through different lenses, but at the same level and at the same understanding. And we see so many things the same way and have so many of the same values, but we also see it from different perspectives and
Yeah.
lenses.
Yeah.
And me, as someone who is childless by choice, will
Mm.
remain so. Um, it's interesting that the way that I perceive the world is different than what you do, but at the same
Mm.
point, we still have so much in common and how we feel about the world and the things that are important to us and the issues that are important to us too.
Yeah. No, I know. And like, I always really value your perspective on things because you're always one of the first people that I think about texting whenever something like crazy happens in the news or just like, I don't know, something big is taking place. Because, yeah, like you said, you do have a different way of looking at things and a different way of handling situations sometimes than I do, but it's such a needed perspective for me. I think like everyone can really benefit from having that friend
Mm,
or a family member
yeah.
that can recontextualize things for them or make them think about something in a new way.
Yeah.
Maybe even talk them down from being like overly panicked about things. Um,
We both play that role, though.
we
I
do,
mean,
we do.
sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, and
Yeah.
we just know what the other one needs.
Yeah, yeah. I just yeah, I'm trying to think even I don't even know specifically what we were talking about when we decided to start this podcast,
I
but,
don't know. I
um,
feel like I want to look. What did we?
actually, I do think it was reproductive rights.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
we were
Yes.
talking about motherhood, and
Yes.
we were like, God, we could write a
Yes.
book about all the things that we feel about
Absolutely.
reproductive rights in this country. Um,
Yes. Yes, it was. It was. We were talking about what am I? Oh, yep, talking about how, like I said, I'm scared for all of us, feeling I
mm,
feel like having a child in this world adds so many layers to the anxiety. Like
mm,
I have a lot of anxiety about the world, and I have that in a different way than you do, I think,
mm,
because my anxiety is more for you and our friends and my sister and for my soon to be niece, and thinking
right.
about your rights It's thinking about my friends who are gay, who are trans,
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
are minorities, who are from marginalized communities. And I think my anxiety is more about like those around me, because there's in a lot of ways, I'm sure there's a whole other bit of pressure that's felt when you're
Mhm.
now responsible for a helpless babe, sweet babe,
Yeah.
who you are solely, you and Mike are solely responsible for his well-being.
Right.
And how do you cope with that? And how do you sit with that and know, like, I've just got to keep doing what I can to make sure my family's okay. And that
Yeah.
has to be the first priority.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is scary, and, we have a lot of friends and even family that are choosing not to have kids, and
Mhm,
I fully understand that perspective because as much as Mike and I wanted to be parents and it was something we had planned for our entire relationship,
mhm,
and especially after we lost a pregnancy, we wanted it, like, even more.
mhm.
There's, like, something that happens in your brain where you're like, "I knew I wanted to be a mom, and now it's like, I'm desperate to be a
Yes.
mom."
Yes.
Um, which is probably some, like, biological trigger, who knows, like, there's probably something way outside of my control that was just like, "You're gonna be a mom
I
or
think it
else."
was. You were, I mean, it's
Um,
part of you were, this is born to be part of your identity, not your whole identity, but
yeah.
part of your
Yeah,
identity. This is like
definitely.
what you were meant to be.
Yeah. Um, but, Mike and I still think about it from that perspective of, like, he and I have totally had the conversation of, like, did we screw up by bringing a
Mm,
child into the world right
sure.
now? Like, this is crazy that now these responsibilities are going to end up burdening our son when he gets older.
Mhm.
That's just kind of the facts of life. As much as like we can prepare him and and hopefully shape him into a good person that will fight for other
Yes.
people, like that means that there potentially is still going to be a fight that he has to fight.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's such a complicated feeling looking at your child and thinking like, well, I'm so glad that he exists. Like I have no regrets about like thinking like I don't look at him and think, "Oh, he shouldn't be here."
Of course
You know
not.
what I mean?
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
but it's also like I feel bad in a way that like our country or our world doesn't have its like shit together better than it does.
Does not.
And he's being born into all of this and he's gonna have to like figure out all probably these same issues because they've been issues even like in our parents' generation.
Exactly.
I don't know. And sometimes those thoughts can just really run away with me of like, I want to make sure that my child has a good education
Yeah.
and like has access to any healthcare that he needs.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and
It's those
hopefully
bare minimum things right now. I mean, that's like
yes.
really where we are. So you're, it's totally valid.
But then I also think like what state is the planet gonna be
I
in by the
know.
time he's my age?
I
Like I
know.
don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. And obviously there are a lot of reports that are very alarming and
Mhm.
it's very easy to listen to those reports and be just like completely and utterly overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And so, even with some of our family members that are choosing not to have kids, I know a lot of that is because of global climate change.
Mhm.
And again, I totally understand. Um, it is a complicated feeling,
Mhm.
but like, and I always come back to like I do think though that humanity like needs good people in the
Yes.
world. But
Yes.
then that also I realize that saying that also still puts the burden on my son and
Right.
other kids to be that like source of empathy and intelligence in a
Mhm.
world that is, like, getting so chaotic.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like you're
I don't know.
raising like a little soldier. Like, I mean,
I
in the way
know.
of like you want him to fight for what is right
I know.
and equip him to make good decisions and be able to to feel like he has a voice in the world. And
Mhm.
I can't, it's hard to imagine, but I think it's obviously a responsibility, but I think it's one that you are totally qualified for. I think, both you and Mike are, doing a great job and understand where your priorities are
Yeah,
in
I mean,
ensuring that he has what he needs to be successful.
I hope so. I hope so, and I know I'm also trying to kind of, in a way, keep it into perspective. I know that we've never, like, as a species, handled that's the police thing again. Can you hear that?
Oh my god, yes. What is it saying?
The the police incident has ended.
Oh, thank
Lord.
God.
Um, what was I even saying? I don't even know.
It's hard when you
I
think
don't know.
about
I don't
someone
know.
shooting in your neighborhood. Thank
I
you,
know.
America. God.
I know. Literally, before we started recording, there was an active shooter in our neighborhood. So, here I am talking about being worried for my child's safety, and we're literally getting like police alerts about an
Yeah,
active shooter.
I know.
And we live in a pretty safe area. So
Yes, you
that's
do.
like,
You do.
it
It's
just,
very hard to imagine that kind of chaos happening in your neighborhood.
I know, like literally kids ride their bikes around and like play in the street. And
Yeah.
like, it's so casual. I go out walking every day and there's always like 5 or 6 other moms out walking. Oh,
Yes.
wait. I just got a running out of time thing.
Oh, or nor. Is it the 40 minutes?
Uh-huh.
Dang it.
I know.
Zoom, here's something I have to say to Zoom. I don't think you're hurting for cash. Let us
Oh,
all have unlimited meetings. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure stocking your company went sky high in 2020.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Give me a break.
Accurate.
You can afford it. That is my attitude right now towards
I mean, yeah.
everybody. You
Yeah.
can afford it. Stop playing.
True.
I was thinking
Um,
about another big company where I was getting sassy with them about it. It was like something dumb, I'm sure. But I'm just like, these major corporations, I'm like, and
I
that's a
know.
whole other, I mean, my
That
God,
is.
a whole other topic of capitalism and the fall of humanity as we know it.
I know.
That's what the podcast will be titled. That's our episode 2. I do. Okay, here's my idea though. For one, I feel like in my mind it should be called pilot
Okay.
because I will probably never get to be part of a real like a pilot, like
Yeah.
television.
Like a TV
So
show?
I'm like, this might be my only chance to be part of a real pilot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is our pilot episode.
Our pilot episode.
It is.
It's our first one. It's number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I
One
thought
of
that would be
one of
cute.
many.
One of many, one of many.
Yeah.
And then I think they get into like, it'd be funny just to be pilot and then like really aggressive, like intricate names of exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do love that.
We can make it whatever we want.
Yeah. I did realize we didn't introduce ourselves at all.
Oh my God. We need no introduction. But we should.
Oh
We
my
should
gosh.
introduce ourselves.
Yes. Do you wanna go first?
You
Or
can go
would you
first.
like me to
You gonna
go?
go first.
Okay.
Yes, you
Oh
go.
god. Okay. Well, I'm Catryn. I currently live in North Carolina, and I'm married to a wonderful man named Mike, and we have a son, Alden, and an adorable dog, Toffee. And I don't know what to say about myself.
What do you
I what?
What do? You have many amazing attributes and qualities and things that you do.
Oh my gosh. So I run my own business. I'm a
Mm.
website designer and developer. Right now, more so development, just because I'm also a full-time mom. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
great. I think that's great. I love it.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, geez. So I am Mary.
Mhm.
I currently also live in North Carolina, very tragically 4 hours from Raleigh,
Mhm.
in the mountains, close to where we grew up. Catryn and I have been friends since before
For
the common
forever.
era, like
The
before
common
I started forming memories. Like there are photos that I'm like, oh, that was us, and I don't have a memory of it. So that's
Yeah,
just to
that's
say
true.
how long we've been friends.
Mhm.
We're lifetimers,
Yeah.
and I am getting married this year. I am engaged
Yay.
to my amazing fiance, Aaron, and together we have two dogs, Mayor and Moosh, who are
Mm.
naughty and wonderful and perfect. Um, and it's just the four of us in our house, and we just we are, similarly, I work from home. I work for a national women's organization, and Aaron owns his own pet sitting business. So we both get to be home together pretty much all day, except for when he has clients and visits and meetings and things. And otherwise, we get to be together at home, which I love and would be very hard to adapt to any other kind of schedule. Like
Mhm.
it would be really, really hard to, go back into an office. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to work from home full time and do everything that I need here. But, I think it's like, I know Abby, my sister, is she works for Red Hat, and they're now like trying to move more towards like an in-office structure, and she's like, "Oh
Mm.
my god, like this is ridiculous." And I know a lot of people are starting to feel that. So it's very fortunate that we got our sweet little setups at
I
home.
know. I know. We're both little work at home biddies.
I know. I don't have any interest in going out into the world unless it's something I
None.
want to do for fun. Like
I know.
if I'm going out to dinner, if I am
Mm.
going to Target, if I am
Mhm.
going to get the mail from the mailbox,
Yeah.
that's all I need to do.
Listen, I have my, like, nighttime pajamas, and then I have my daytime pajamas.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
currently in I'm currently in athleisure because why would I not be?
Right. Me too. I wear the same
I
thing every day in different varieties.
Mhm, mhm.
Same leggings. Shout out to Aerie. Sponsor us, Aerie. Everything I'm wearing is from Aerie, top to bottom. Aerie sweatshirt, Aerie underwear, Aerie.
Yeah.
And if I were wearing a bra, it would be from Aerie too. So,
But you're not.
but I'm not. I am absolutely not. And I'm fine sharing that with everybody.
Oh my
But
gosh,
no, I
that's so
wear these
funny.
same leggings. I have the like 7 or 8 pairs of them.
Mhm,
And I wear a different sweatshirt every day.
mhm.
Even in the summer, I'm sitting here in a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hot. And Aaron's like, well, take off your sweatshirt. And I'm like, it's part of me. It's who I am.
I have one of those, like, really fuzzy robes,
Oh,
I
yes.
like, that are just, like it's not real fur, but it is like fur,
Of course. Of course.
And I when Mike and I used to live in downtown Raleigh in, like, this, high-rise apartment, I would just walk around the apartment in that all day because 'cause I'm
Fabulous.
like I'm like, "Why do I need to put on real clothes?
She's the
I'm just
lady
gonna
of the
walk around."
manor. I mean,
She
honestly,
is.
that was
She
such
is.
a bougie experience. I loved your place downtown.
Yeah, I did too.
It
We
was
lived there for 3
cool.
years. We lived there for 3 years, and we still talk about, like, what a nice experience that was, and we could just, like, walk to bars and like, have a date night. We always go and see, the Carolina Ballet do the Nutcracker every
Oh,
year at Christmas, and
yes.
we could just, like, walk to the ballet,
Oh,
walk to go get drinks after, come
so
back home.
dreamy.
It was so nice, which does sound really bougie. It just was, like It was just a regular apartment building, but it was, like, in the center of downtown.
I
Um,
know.
it was not like living in Manhattan or anything. If you've ever been to Raleigh, North Carolina, it's not
Oh,
anything like
but
that, but,
Raleigh's cool. You know Raleigh's cool.
yeah, it
But
was
yeah,
fun,
it's because you
but
had everything you needed in that little spot.
yeah, but we moved right before, well, I say right before, like, a year before the pandemic happened,
Mhm. Right.
and we were in our house then by that point, and the whole time we were like, "Thank God we don't
Yeah.
have to ride an elevator."
Oh my god.
During the pandemic and to, like, walk the
Oh.
dog, we're gonna go up and down an elevator? No, thank
I
you.
can't imagine. I
And
really can't.
be stuck in an apartment building with, like, hundreds of other people? Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you do what
No,
you have to do. I know that was a lot of people's reality. Um,
absolutely.
we just felt very fortunate that we could step outside with our dog at that point
My
and
god.
and let him pee and not have to deal with that, but
I know.
mm,
And I was in a similar situation. I was living in Atlanta right before the pandemic happened. So I had moved home in October, I think, of 2019,
mm,
right before
yeah,
your wedding.
yeah,
Yes. And because I remember I was packing my stuff and I had to pack the sample. No, 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 my actual bridesmaid's dress because I would have been in the stuff that I
yeah,
had to move. I was very fortunate because it happened right before the pandemic.
mhm,
So I was extremely lucky that I had moved when I did because I didn't have to continue paying rent in an
mm,
apartment where I didn't want to be. I mean, I didn't want to be in
right,
Atlanta. And I know that my friends at work were struggling with that. And it was awful. And
yeah,
I just felt for them because, I was just in a different position. And I was very grateful that it just happened the way that it did.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm living with my parents. I'm getting cabin fever a little bit because these guys are weird. And I was like, I'm getting a dog. I was like, I got it. So I was part of the COVID canine club,
Yeah,
and that's how Mayor came to be. My
mayor.
little baby boy that I really am convinced that I did birth him. You know, I talk
You
about
are
it all the
raising a
time.
child in
I
this
know.
modern time.
I know. I'm like, damn, like, I mean, I'm gonna have to take care of these two idiots. They're super helpless,
Oh my gosh.
but they're cute as hell. But they only got two brain cells between them.
Oh
Poor
my god.
things. Poor babes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's how we ended up.
Yeah. I feel like we should say, although it's probably going to be obvious if you listen to this podcast, that we are raging feminists and liberals.
Raging.
That should be fairly obvious, but
It's
you
worth
know,
saying.
it is worth saying we did grow up in the Appalachian Mountains
Yep.
and right in the heart of the Bible Belt.
Mm-hmm.
We both were raised in church. There's
Yes.
a whole lot to to unpack there,
We have a lot
but
to unpack.
but we're now in our 30s and have
We
had a
are.
lot of life experiences and a lot of thoughts about the current state of the world.
Yes. We have a
So,
lot of thoughts. We
a
have
lot of
so
thoughts.
many thoughts. We said we're going to start a podcast and talk about our thoughts
Yeah.
because I feel
Yeah.
like even if circumstances are not exactly the same, there
Mhm.
are a ton of people, women specifically,
Mhm.
who have a similar situation, may have been raised in a smaller bubble. I
Mhm.
mean, when you look at our kind of the circumstances, we were very
Mhm.
fortunate in the way that we grew up and the town that
Yes.
we grew up in and the influences that we had during that time. Oh,
It very much was a bubble. Like
very much.
one of my friends recently was asking me what it was like growing up in the town that we grew up in, and I told her, I was like, it literally was in my head, and this could be just like my perceived idea of it now that I'm an adult, but like to me it seemed like, first of all I said It's, like, very small town, everybody
Yep.
knows everybody,
Yep.
or you know somebody that knows somebody kinda deal.
Absolutely. One
You're
one
all
degree of separation at
yeah.
best.
There are 9,000 people thereabouts, and last
Mhm.
time I checked, 94 churches.
Shut up. Did you
So
look that up?
yeah.
Oh my god.
A few years ago, so who knows, it could have grown. But,
Well, I know it's grown by
um,
at least one.
well so, but I told her it was like it was a very sheltered experience in
Yep.
a lot of ways. It was very charming as well. So in my head, it's very similar to like Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls,
Yes,
but just like
yes.
southern.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is. And the one thing that I love about Stars Hollow that I wish that Waynesville had was like that lovely, delightful walkability. Like,
Oh, sure. You're not
oh
gonna
my
have that in the
God.
mountains. In
No, you
fact,
can't.
you're not gonna have that in most places in the United States, but certainly not in the mountains where like even if you are neighbors with someone, you're, like, across the mountain from them, you like,
Absolutely.
you're gonna be walking for a solid hour, hour and a half to
And
get to
it's
their
going to be
house.
uphill, downhill. You're going to be well out of breath, no matter how in shape you are by
Yeah,
the time you get anywhere.
but we're
And it's,
also we're really fortunate that, like, we have a great group of friends that we grew
yes.
up with,
Oh my God.
and we are all still friends, which is
Oh
miraculous.
my God. It's amazing.
I feel like that's so rare.
It is.
Um,
It's rare. And
and
it's funny.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Aaron has friends that he's had since high
Mhm.
school. So, I'll give him that. Like,
So does
he's
Mike.
but it's I don't think he talks some of them every day. And I'm like, it's so
Mm,
interesting that for both of us to have found partners that have those types of friendships, I think it speaks a lot to the
mm,
level of commitment and what you're willing to put into a relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic relationship. If
yeah.
you've got friends like from infancy and from
Mm.
childhood, those friendships go through a lot. I mean,
Oh, a
we've
lot.
all been through a lot together, and I think if you're able to be in a place and have those right people around you, you've hit the jackpot. Like,
Yeah.
it is the best thing. And I think another piece about living in Waynesville and growing up where we did was that, to me, it is such a town that is sometimes kind of purple in nature, if you will. Like, being
Hmm.
very close to Asheville, I
Yeah.
think that there was a lot of liberal influence in our town. And
Mhm.
um I think I remember my experience being that we were kind of exposed to many different types of people. I mean, I would
Mhm.
say probably mostly moderate type of people, but then you had some that were like super liberal. Like, I can remember teachers from high school that were
Mm.
so liberal and wonderful, and just my favorite teachers,
Yeah.
Dr. Fox. I mean, he's like the one that stands out the most, my
Yeah.
French teacher. And then you had some that you could tell, of course, were more conservative, but
Right.
at that time, it didn't really cause a chasm like it has now.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was a really interesting piece of our town and of our upbringing, was we had some different type of influences in a
Mhm.
southern town and in a
Yeah.
mountain community, which I think is kind of like a little unicorn type
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Well, my dad was talking about that when he was growing up, like, all of that county was very blue
Mhm.
because of the mills and
Mhm.
the, like, workers' unions and everything that were
Yes.
there. He
Yes.
said you had a lot of really educated people, but you also had a lot of, like, worker, laborer type people, and at
Yes.
that point in time, and we're talking, like, 60s and 70s, probably even earlier than that, that made them very blue, very Democrat.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, times have certainly changed in that regard, but yeah, he said, when he was growing up, it was not uncommon for that to be a blue county right alongside Buncombe County where Asheville is.
God,
So, yeah,
a
it has
dream.
changed a bit since then, and I think a lot of that has to do with religion
Mhm.
and how that has been kind of co-opted
Yep,
in this country.
yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love where we grew up. I think it is a beautiful town and I love going back to visit. At the same time, I
Mhm.
feel very comfortable
Yeah,
in Raleigh.
yeah. Yes,
Just given the current political climate. Um,
absolutely.
but then at the same time, not that you don't have like crazies in the mountains, 'cause that
Oh,
it can happen anywhere,
oh,
but
yeah.
then at the same time, being in a city, you know, like I said, we had an active shooter this evening, like, in our
Exactly.
neighborhood, and it's like, I don't know, there's a little bit more, I guess, anxiety when you don't know the people around you as well,
Yes.
it's not that
Yep.
tight-knit community. 'Cause I can't say that we really know our neighbors all that well, like, I know them to speak
Yeah,
to them, but I don't know, their grandpappy and and
absolutely
I went to
not.
high school with their brother and whatever,
Right.
I don't have that kind of connection when I go back to Waynesville, like, my parents definitely have that kind of
I
interaction
know
on a
it.
daily basis, so
And there's
very
something
different.
I love about that, and I was just thinking about it, now, and some of our friends, including you, are,
Mm.
like, 3rd generation Haywood
Oh, yeah.
County.
Yeah.
I'm a 1st gen Haywood County,
Mm.
and I hate it. I curse my parents for not growing up
Oh
in
my gosh.
Haywood County. I hate them for it. No, I'm just kidding. I love them, but I'm like, just because I mean, and they've made a lot of friends. I mean, obviously they know
Mhm,
a lot of
mhm.
people in town, but like there's something to be said for people who are generational Appalachian
Mm.
people, and I love it. I
And
love it so much.
they put down roots a long time ago,
Yes,
and they have
they
stayed.
they never left. I think
Mhm.
there's something so cool about that. Obviously, we you went to Raleigh and you stayed in Raleigh. My
Yeah.
sister did the same thing. She went to Raleigh, she
Mhm.
stayed in Raleigh, she loves Raleigh.
Yeah, same.
I kind of stayed closer to home.
Mhm.
I then went and traveled around and did a lot of things, lived in Atlanta, but I came back, I was like, I know I'm
Yeah,
happy here. Hendersonville is different than Waynesville.
yeah.
I hot take is Hendersonville is actually like foothills upstate South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
It's different. It's
Okay.
different. There's a beautiful culture here. Flat Rock is amazing. It's very cool. You've got the Carl Sandburg home, you've got the
Mhm.
Playhouse. There's cool stuff. Other than that, I'm like, there's nothing special about this place. And like
Mm.
Aaron and I feel the same exact way. I'm like, whenever you're ready to move back to Waynesville, I'll be ready. Like I'm ready to get back. I'd be happy to
Yeah,
go back. And I don't know if it's because I didn't go that far and I know the dynamic well enough to be comfortable in it.
yeah, yeah.
That could be part of it. But watching the election results come in this year, as devastating and horrifying and dreadful as that was, you looked at the early vote and everywhere was blue. I mean,
Mm.
Buncombe County always stays blue, Asheville stays blue, but then Haywood County and Henderson County were blue for like the first hour to 2 hours. And I was like, oh my God, yes, like this is amazing. I was so excited. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it didn't stay that way. It changed. But it was that feeling of being proud that my town was finally
Yeah.
shifting and then it wasn't. It's a lot of it's disappointment that's not surprising. You
Mm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah, I
that
mean,
feeling.
it's really interesting because I went into the election and was totally and completely blindsided.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was one of those people that everyone I knew
Yeah.
was certainly not gonna vote for him,
Mm-mm.
even if they were on the fence of voting for her. And I was like, "Okay, okay, like, there will be some people sitting this one out, like, whatever."
Yep.
But I didn't know anyone that had voted for Biden that was going to vote for Trump this time.
Right. Exactly.
And so
Yep.
I I felt so certain. I
Yep.
mean, I was, like, giddy the morning of the election because I was like, "We're gonna have our first female president." I was, like, so happy.
Oh yeah.
I was at home, though. I was with my parents because
Yes.
Mike and I had just been in the mountains for our anniversary, and so we went to my parents after that. So we were with them, and my whole family was not that way. They did not think it was gonna go that way,
Mm.
um, because they had seen so many, like, Trump parades, and
Right.
it had been so prominent in their lives that, like,
Yep.
people they knew were actively defending him and
Yep.
excited for him,
Yep.
that they were not excited, and they were like, "You need to, like, chill because I don't think this is gonna go the way you think it's gonna go." And I was like,
Ugh.
"Yes, it is." I was getting so mad at them because I was like, "You have to stay positive.
I
We have
know.
to stay
I
positive."
know.
And then,
I would have
you
screamed
know
at anybody who tried to bring me down off that high.
yeah, and so, you know, I was devastated
But
and
I was the exact same. And my mom, who is I would call moderate, I would
mm,
say, I mean, I know that she has supported the right candidate for the past
mm.
few elections. I know that she shared that with me.
Mm.
Um, but if there was a great Republican candidate, like someone that she really likes, she'd probably vote for him. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say that
Well,
she
and see
was like, she's going to win in a landslide. She
right.
was sure about it. And I was like, ooh. And my stepdad he's very in tune. My
Mhm.
dad was kind of like, well, I don't know, because he lives in Maggie Valley,
Mhm.
a little
Right.
Trumpier. And your parents probably had
Right.
that same perspective.
Right. And
And
so I think, like,
yeah.
I think I don't know, I felt very stupid after the election because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, my perception of this country and the
Yep.
direction that we were headed was very different than the reality.
Yep.
Um, and I think all that to say, like, I personally don't want this to be a podcast just for people that necessarily agree with us wholeheartedly. Although
Yep.
I do want it to resonate with people that do agree with us, but I also hope that this is a safe space, for lack of a better term,
Yep.
to learn
Yeah.
or to be exposed to a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that all of us are guilty of getting in our own little bubbles and sometimes not even realizing it, that we have not stepped outside to see the broader scope of things.
Yep.
Um and I would like to think that, the way you and I discuss things, even just in our text messages, like, yes, we're very opinionated, and like, we feel very secure in how we feel about things, but we're always trying to understand where someone else is coming from.
Oh
And we're
yeah.
trying to, I mean, even since the election, I have been trying to understand how half the population, or I say half, I'll come back to that. But all the people that voted for him are so excited and so happy, and there's like, he was he was sworn in yesterday,
Mm.
and there were celebrations being had, and I'm really trying to wrap my mind around the fact that I can be so disheartened
Yep.
and so upset that
Yep.
a man that tries to cause division and tries to point fingers at the other and tries to just kick people while they're down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand how that outwins someone whose message was, we are stronger together, and as a nation we should be united.
Yeah.
Um I say only half because, like, doing the actual math on the numbers, there's like 258 million people in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how many votes he got. Do you remember?
Mm.
Um,
Oh, I don't remember. I could
Let
look
me
it up.
just Google it really quick.
It was pretty high.
It was. It was not
No.
258 million.
No, 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 no. That's an interesting
Presidential election. Okay. Okay. So he got 77.3 million votes.
mm,
Um, so if we divide that by 258, okay, so less than 30% of our population voted for him. 29.9% of our population voted for him. So that means that either 70%, well, 70% didn't vote for him.
right. They didn't
Either they
vote,
voted, right. They either voted for her or they
third
didn't vote,
party, or they
or
didn't
third
vote.
party.
Yeah.
And so in a way that does give me some hope. I
Yeah.
still feel like we're not in the minority in looking at him and being baffled by
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Um, I'm still disappointed that 30% of the population voted for him, but that purely comes from I I want to live my life in a way where I am not actively hurting other people.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and
That
I
should be everyone's goal. That's a
and
pretty,
like
you
it
would think it
literally
wouldn't be so hard.
right, it literally doesn't matter if it's a Republican candidate or if it's a Democratic candidate. I I won't vote for someone who I think is a hurtful person
Yeah.
or who is
Absolutely.
out for vengeance. I won't. Um,
Or who just wants power, who just
who
wants to
just yeah,
say that they have power. I don't even think that he really wants this job. I think he
right.
wants to feel powerful. I think he wants to feel in control, and he is.
Mhm.
I mean, that he's gotten what he's wanted for a long time, and I have a lot of worry. I mean, I was trying so hard to stay off of Instagram yesterday and off of social
Mhm.
media, and trying and trying and trying, and I'm seeing this insane juxtaposition of MLK quotes,
Mhm.
inauguration posts,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
and I going back to what you said before, I live in a bubble. I've put myself in a bubble. I am Glenda. I've put myself in a bubble because when I look at Instagram, when I look at social media, there are no conservative people,
Mm.
and it's by choice. I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So when I thought that you know Harris was going to win by a landslide, it's because that's what my algorithm and
Mm.
my peers and my friends kind of not led me to believe, but like that's what I was seeing. That's what I was
Yeah.
a part of. I saw, some extraneous stuff, but in my bubble,
Right.
things were good. And like, I was very confident. So I think as much as I enjoy my bubble, I love it very much. I think it's
Mhm.
also it can be dangerous sometimes to live there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be, I think, I've tried to kind of call myself out on being a little ignorant and say, hey,
Mhm.
you've got to try and expand a little bit, and because like it or not, this is reality. And
Right.
I will resist and I will dissent all day long, and I I will, and I'm ready to. I'm also, I think Bernie Sanders said it, that he in some way, I'm not quoting him directly, that would be a disaster. But I mean, basically saying if Trump makes good decisions and, doesn't deliver on these horrible things that he has already promised, of course we want him to succeed because our country
Yes.
is at stake.
Yes. Yes.
That's
My
what
dad has
he
said that My dad has said that so
Yes.
much, he's like, "I don't want any president to fail."
Because what does that mean? It's
Right.
terrifying if it, and we've
Right.
seen it happen. And so I don't have a lot of hope for it, but I will be the first one to say, hey, I
Mhm.
have nothing that I can say against someone who's trying to make a difference, like you said, in the world, who is, if that's the case, and I'm surprised by that, I will be glad to be surprised by it. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm going to be surprised by it, but I look forward to the day.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I said I didn't know anyone who voted for him, and that actually isn't true,
Yeah.
except that those people didn't tell me that they voted for him until he won.
Yeah.
So I went into it not realizing that I did in fact have people close to me that were really rooting for him.
Yep.
Um, and so that's also, I think a lot of us right now are in that kind of weird period of like looking at people that
Yes, you're
we
looking around.
respect. Yeah, that
Yep.
we respected, that we care about, and we're like,
Yes.
"How is your worldview so different from
Yeah.
mine?
Yeah.
How is that possible?"
How can that
Um,
be?
and it's something that I've really been grappling with over the last few months and trying to come to terms with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to question that a little bit because I'm like, why weren't you like loud and proud? I mean, some people are, right?
Mhm.
Like some people are loud and proud about
Mhm.
supporting him, but like the people that I knew that weren't, I'm like on some level, you must know that this is
Yeah.
problematic. You must have some kind of inkling that this doesn't feel right.
Yep.
Um,
Or it's
oh,
self-serving and you realize that
right,
that is self-serving.
right. At the same time, and I feel like people could listen to this and think like, okay, two more like
Right.
bimbos with a microphone. Like, why do we need this? But
Yes. Yeah, you proudly.
but I also feel like a big lesson that I took to heart during the Black Lives Matter movement was that white people needed to step up. Like,
Yes.
white
Yes.
people needed to have conversations, hard
Yep.
conversations
Yeah.
with their relatives,
Yep.
with their friends.
Yeah.
Like, we needed to stand up for what was right.
Yep.
And it was past time, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
And so on one hand, I'm like, ugh, does anyone care or is it important for us to put this out into the universe? But then on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, there needs to be more voices out there
Mhm.
that are saying like, I'm not okay with
With how
the
things
thing
are.
yeah,
Yep.
with the way that things are being handled, with the things that are being said, with the things that are being
Mm.
done.
Yep.
Like, here are two white women from rural Appalachia,
Mhm.
from the heart of the Bible Belt, they are like, "This is not okay.
Right.
This is not
Right.
okay," and, like, something needs to be done about it.
Yep.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think that um it's an interesting time because I think at the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, everybody was posting their black square on Instagram and
Mhm.
saying like, oh, this, and I feel like it has evolved a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of room to grow. There is a
Oh.
lot that needs to happen. And I think, whether it be, Black Lives Matter, trans lives matter,
Mhm.
um, I think it's time now more for action than it is for
Mm.
words and for reposting things on Instagram.
Right.
And so I think I hope that this outlet also perhaps connects people to others who are like them. And,
Mm.
maybe a pal listening in Asheville or Hendersonville will say, hey, there's a march going on downtown. And maybe
Yeah.
that will inspire me and others to say, okay, I'm going to go and put my money where my mouth is and go do something that really exclaims to the world. And not only that, but pushes towards a brighter tomorrow because I
Right.
can. I'm I recognize the privilege that I have and the platform, whatever this platform is, whatever this ends
Yeah.
up being, I want to use what I have for good. And I want
Yeah.
to be more active in the way that like I want to put the active in activism because
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of times I'm really good as an advocate and an ally, but am I an activist? That
Mm.
means you have to go and do something. That means you
Right.
have to be active in your cause and in your belief. And I think that's something where I recognize that piece that I can grow in.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully we'll reach a lot of people who are at that point in their own journey and in their own belief, and we'll see that too, and we'll hopefully listen to our pod and
Yeah.
and feel the same way and get out there and do some good. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, if we get anyone involved, we've made progress and we've done a good thing. And I think that's
Yeah.
small. It's not even a small measure. It could be very big. So those are the hopes that I have
Yeah.
for our
I
pod.
agree. I agree. And we have a lot of different topics that we want to cover.
Yes.
So many different things, not just politics.
No.
So if politics are not your thing, I know we've talked about a lot of politics. If you're still
Yes.
with us and it's not your
Yes.
thing, I apologize, but
But we do have a lot more on the list that
we
goes
have a
way
lot.
beyond. I
We
love
have a
our
lot.
list. Our
Me
list is
too.
so good. I
It's
love to
like
check it every now and then because you keep adding more things, and I'm like, oh yes, 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 yes,
it's a
yes.
wild ride, our list of
It
ideas.
really is.
I literally was like bathing Alden the other day and I was like, "Is this a crazy idea, Mike, to like one of our topics?" And he was like, "I mean, go for it. I don't
Put it
know."
on the
Like
list.
he's like, "Yeah."
Put it in the shared
Um,
notes app. Why not?
yeah. So, I don't know. I hope that this can be again like a safe place for people to come and hear about these different topics from two women that maybe look like them, maybe don't look like them,
Yep.
but um I feel like we're going to try and cover it from a lot of different perspectives
Yep.
and also share our own, I don't know, perspectives on life.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't know.
sometimes
I
be a
don't
little
know.
sassy.
It's maybe just a little
Just
sassy,
a little
you
bit
know?
sassy.
That's
Yeah, no,
okay.
I agree. And I think, it's also, I hope that it is a safe space. I hope that it's also like kind of a brave space. Like even if it
Mm,
doesn't feel super safe, at least maybe someone will find us and say, "Hey, I may as well just try this out and be brave and say,
yeah.
even though I might have other differing views, this could be something that feels attainable and
Yeah.
it feels like a little, maybe like baby bites. Like
Yeah.
we're not we don't work for CNN.
No.
We don't purport to be any more professional than we are, but
No.
it's just a perspective of where we come from, what our circumstances are, what our lives are, and how we see the
Mhm.
world. So
Totally.
maybe someone will listen to us. We hope
Here's
so.
hoping.
Here's hoping.